Steam Next Fest showcased thousands of indie game demos, most of which are coming later this year, and I had the opportunity to try out 20-something of the most interesting looking games within this short week. This time I checked out roguelikes, Metroidvanias, 3D platformers, first-person shooters, gorgeous pixel art throwbacks to adventure games, and a game where you control a very wiggly hand that can give the middle finger to a foot. Some of these games were absolutely amazing and are well deserving of your attention. So let's get straight to talking about the best of the best. Here are the top 6 demos I've played and the games I'm most looking forward to. Make sure you wishlist these if they look at all interesting to you. I put links in the description for all of them. And let me know in the comments if I missed out on any gems. Starting with number 6, we have an incredibly charming roguelike bullet hell in Beyond the Long Night. But don't be fooled by the lighthearted look of this game. While it may look like these creatures are harmless, I assure you they are not. The demo itself was just one floor of a grander world that will be introduced in the full game, so it wasn't crazy difficult, but it did have a reasonable level of challenge to it, and a nice bit of variety to the upgrades you can get. The game had some of the most interesting and humorous character interactions I've had in recent memory. I especially like these cows that give you motivational quotes that you can save for completion's sake. There are even some hidden items that require some thought and discovery to unlock. Despite this being a small portion of the full game, I ended up playing this for a few hours over the course of a dozen or so runs just because there was so much to experience. The game even tracks everything you've discovered, with there being a section called Unfolding Stories in your journal, where each of these characters have their own mysteries or surprising events attached to them that develops the more you play and interact with them. It felt very much like Hades in that regard. Even for a demo, in the dozen or so runs I played, I would still learn or see something new each run, and there was a lot of mystery to this world that the demo teases. You even have these hats that act as modifiers for your run. For example, the party hat makes everything move faster, the iron hat leaves you with just 1 health. There's even this encore option, which acts almost like a New Game Plus, where after a successful run, you keep all your upgrades, you run it back with more challenging enemies. I really like this idea. It's a blast to get a ton of power-ups so you can get more powerful while still experiencing a challenge. The devs even hid a secret item in the demo, with the first 5 players to find it being awarded a copy of the game when it comes out in a few months, and I am proud to say I'm the first person to discover it. Yes, I am very, very cool. At number 5, we have a charming 3D platformer by the name Koa and the 5 Pirates of Mara. This game looks and feels like a Nintendo game. Buttery smooth controls, cute characters, and bright colorful worlds to explore. This game is a really unique one for the list in that it is really a very simple platformer. I mean, at first look, this does seem like it's something you would probably think to get for a younger sibling, or a son or a daughter, rather than yourself, and if playing it casually, it will most definitely be way too easy for seasoned platformers who have taken on the likes of Crash Bandicoot, Celeste, and Super Meat Boy. But hear me out for a second, hear me out. As I found, Koa makes for a fantastic speedrunning game. There's some really satisfying movement tech chaining together these rolls and jumps. There's a bunch of interesting skips in these very short levels. There's a speedrun timer and in-game leaderboard as well, so the dev team is fully on board with it. They even had a mini speedrun contest for one of the levels in the demo, and there's a notable trick that was found where you can double jump, and the devs confirm they will leave it unchanged in the full game to support the speedrunners. Check it out, it is very fun and approachable even if you've never given speedrunning a shot. I ended up spending a lot of hours in this one. Okay, I know I'm cheating a little bit with number 4, as this demo was released back in September of last year, but we need to talk about Gunbrella. This game doesn't need a real introduction, but let's try to give it one anyway. Now I know you've always thought to yourself, what if my umbrella was also a gun? Well, Gunbrella asks this question and goes even further. What if my umbrella was also used to dash, zipline, stun, block, deflect? And what if it also protects me from the rain? This demo was immediately fun and engaging. It was just the right length to give you a taste of what's in store for the full game. The mechanics are very fun to play around with, and experimenting with different approaches to take on enemies was a highlight for me. Sure, I can take these guys out pretty easily just picking off shots and taking cover, or I can dash around the room like a lunatic and do something cooler. There was just a lot of these really satisfying moments in this one, and at least in the demo, you had the full range of the abilities I mentioned at the start, so there's a lot of time to mess around with all of these mechanics. Interacting with the residents of the world reveals more to the story, characters, and locations, and it will be interesting to see if we will be able to explore optional areas or take on side quests. The demo really left me wanting more, and it feels like this will be the type of game that will be a lot of fun to revisit just because of how good it feels. My only real complaint is that this boss spills a little too much tomato sauce for my liking, but the game is being developed by Doinksoft, the dev behind Gato Roboto, and it's to be published by Devolver, so you know it's going to be amazing. If you get a chance, try it out. I think you'll have a really good time with it. Number 3 is a game that answers the question of what happens when you mix gorgeous pixel art, tough platforming, Metroidvania-like exploration, and upgradable weapons. This is A Sister's Journey, a game with a striking resemblance to both Celeste and Cave Story. The game looks and sounds great, there's just a ton of polish to the look of the game. I even love the look of the menus and the character portraits, which we are seeing for the first time. The demo starts a little slow, but once it picks up, you unlock a double jump, and you really start to get into a good flow of movement. There's a lot of these extra collectibles used for health upgrades and weapon upgrades. Some of them are hidden, and some are just out in the open, but require some tight platforming to get. It felt like there was a lot of these to discover too, so it was just always a joy to come across and figure out how to reach them. The demo is pretty lengthy too, so it's a nice test run for the full game. And it definitely presented a good challenge too. It does not hold your hand whatsoever like a few of the other demos I tried. Now, originally I was going to talk about how I thought the demo was leaning towards being way too difficult, but while I was writing this, the dev already updated the demo and addressed a lot of the issues I had with it. I mean, that's pretty insane to see a demo released, feedback taken seriously, and it all addressed in less than a week, so you know the game is in good hands with this dev. And speaking of the difficulty, there were some great accessibility options if you find certain aspects of the game too challenging, whether it be platforming only, combat only, or a little bit of both. You can mess around with a lot of these options to really help you out. Still, I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel at least a little sad turning it on in a few parts. The 2 boss fights I encountered during my playthrough were quite tough, and some of these rooms really did have a Celeste vibe in terms of how much dying and retrying I did. With that said, I'm really excited for this one. I think we've barely scratched the surface of what the full game could be and what it is going to offer upon full release. And the best part is that this demo is being left up for a while after Steam Next Fest, so there's still time to try it. Definitely check this one out if you have time. And if you want to see more of A Sister's Journey, I've covered it previously on this channel in great detail on my In Development series, so if you want to learn more about this game, check it out. I'll place a link in the description and at the end of the video. There's just so much more to it, and I'm really excited for this game's full release. At number 2, we have Dust and Neon, which is an almost top-down twin-stick looter shooter that has a vibe kind of like Borderlands. This game in particular might have felt the best overall when comparing all the games I tried during Next Fest. Immediately the controls felt very quick and smooth. Everything feels like it works exactly the way you want it and need it to. Both firing and reloading essentially works the same way. You fire each shot just about as quick as you can pull the trigger. And the same goes for reloading. You load each bullet individually about as fast as you can mash the reload button. And it's up to you to decide if you want to fully reload or put in just enough bullets you think you need. It really makes you feel like a quick shooter. There's no waiting a set period of time for a reload animation or a little cooldown before you can fire again like you see in most shooters. And I love the visual style of reloading in this. It is just so cool. I was really impressed that there was a lot of variety to the look of the weapons too. There wasn't just a generic looking revolver on screen. The gun being reloaded actually looks just like you would expect it to based on the visuals of the gun when looting it. The Steam page boasts there are 2,000 wholly unique revolvers, shotguns, and rifles in the full game. Besides shooting and reloading, you have a run, a dash, and when not holding down the aim button, you will remain in a crouched position to keep you safe behind objects. This leads to these moments where you can duck and weave out of danger, and you have to rush to find new cover or become more aggressive as you get ambushed. There's ways to permanently upgrade your character, get temporary boosts, a mission-based level structure, and the demo even featured a cool boss fight to test out. This one was a really great time, and I highly recommend keeping an eye on it. And here it is, the #1 best game I played during Steam Next Fest. Bionic Bay. Bionic Bay is a platformer with some really interesting puzzle mechanics, and it has such a unique feel and style to it. The movement of the jumping and diving is really tight, and it just has some incredible game feel. The speed at which you can move and the distances you can cover in the air is extremely satisfying. Eventually you get the ability to tag and swap places with certain objects, and it is a blast to mess around with. Early on, this is used for pretty simple platforming puzzles, but it evolves over time in interesting ways requiring quick thinking. Checkpoints are generous, so failing a certain challenge puts you right back where you need to be to try again. The demo was unbelievably cinematic and atmospheric. The world is just so incredibly massive, with the backgrounds feeling so meticulously placed. There's a great sense of scale captured in the art design. It made the demo feel even bigger than it was just based on the variety of the areas you traverse, which makes you feel like you've traveled across this impossibly large world. Seriously, check it out, it will blow you away. And the game is full of surprises. There's these moments where you feel incredibly powerful, followed by the world tossing you around like a ragdoll it is toying with. This game kind of reminds me of something like Limbo or Inside when considering the style of the game, but with an almost Super Meat Boy or N+ vibe for some of the gameplay, which at times requires some tight and twitchy timing to avoid being shot or triggering an explosion. Oh yeah, we got these bouncy green laser boys too. These are pretty fun, we like these. We don't like these lasers though. Nor these things. Nor this death trap. No, not you too, bouncy lasers. I trusted you. This game is an absolute gem of a time, and every aspect of the demo was surprising from moment to moment. And based on the sneak peek trailer shown at the end of the demo, what we see is just barely scratching the surface of the game. 100% you're going to want this one on your wish list. Okay, and that's the list. Let me know in the comments which of these games you are most excited for, or what games you had tried during Steam Next Fest. Did I miss anything really good? And if you like seeing exciting upcoming indie games, check out my In Development series here, where I do a deep dive on some amazing indie games coming soon. One of which is right here. Till next time, bye!